Uh, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the FrostBytez gaming experience. As you can see and already tell, we've got ourselves quite a long part to get through today. 30 minutes, 30 plus minutes. And the reason for that is very obvious. We are dealing with the entirety of routes 132 through 134. Now, usually when I come to doing routes, I try to keep them separated, split up as best as possible. But for those that have already played this game before, you know that that was completely impossible when it came to routes 132 through 134, as in they're all completely connected together. So let me take you back to Generation 2, Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and I can't remember what the route numbers were. I think it was like, what, 38? 38 through 39 and maybe 40 if I'm not mistaken here. There was that one section of routes after Black Ridge Town or something like that, where you went against Claire, the dragon type user. And if you went through those routes, you had to go through it like 3 or 4 separate times if you wanted every item and to face every single trainer. Because depending on which ledge you jumped off of would determine what section of that route you went to, with the inability to go back except for going back to the town and starting all over. That's what we're dealing with here, folks. Yeah, routes 132 through route 134, they're all connected except for instead of through means of jumping over hills that you can't go back up, it's going through river rapids that you can't go back on, because every single time you try to go back, it'll immediately jump you forward. And when you go onto them, unless you are stuck against a wall, you are incapable of going up or down. You just keep going straight forward until you hit another rapid that turns you into another direction. And because of that, if you've never went through all 3 of these routes before, you wouldn't know the correct way to go about it to go against every trainer, get every item, see everything there is you need to see. Now, if you don't care about all that stuff, whipping through it is really no problem whatsoever. But I want to face every trainer and find every single item, so I kinda had to. And I had to really go out of my way because I did not remember this whatsoever from when I played it. It's probably because I didn't care enough to go against every single trainer when I first played Emerald. And I was one of those that just went all the way through. I think I even skipped all of 132 through 134. I just did not care enough. As you can see, you know, these rapids here, once you get on them, this is not me pushing the left, and you can tell by the speed going with it too. You know, it has nothing to do with me doing it whatsoever. It is literally the game itself being like, cool, you're going in this direction. And because of that, you got to know exactly where you want to start in the water depending on where you're going, because in some cases it actually matters. In a lot of cases when you start off, it's like, okay, do you want to go through the bottom half or the first half? But after that, again, depending on what you're looking to do, going on one pixel of the water rapids instead of another could mean that you end up going the exact same way twice and not going to another area without realizing it. And that's kind of what I'm hoping about with this part being as long as it is. If anyone out there is trying to navigate their way through routes 132 through 134 correctly, I really hope this video you know, gets to you and helps you with that, because it is pretty big and a lot of it looks the same, and it's kind of hard to know what pixel you need to go through in order to get from what to where. And I was able to figure it out, and I'm doing it in the order of which felt best to me, going down to up. So, you know, so I'm starting on the bottom end and I'm working my way upward on it. And I think it requires me, I have to fly back to Pacifilage Town three or four different times. I'm not exactly sure how many times I had to fly back there, but it is a good number of times because it's such a big amount of routes, and there is a lot of trainers to go against too. Like, you know, there's a reason why I have Sableye and Milotic being in the forefront, because they're the lowest levels of my entire team, along with Solrock. But Sableye specifically, we haven't seen my boy Sableye in forever. He's been sitting in the PC while Lombre's been going around being the HM bitch. And it's like, I want to get my boy Sableye back into the limelight here. And so I kind of wanted to use this route to do that because there is a lot of Pokemon that aren't just pure water types. We're still on a big water route, but there is a lot of other types to go against because majority of the trainers that you go against are not swimming trainers. It's trainers like these that are actually on shallow water, half land, something or other, that do have other types of Pokemon that you can battle against. And it's really good because Sableye is able to get caught up a lot in levels because of this area. So this is a really good training place once you're done with pretty much everything. You can do it a little bit earlier if you wish to. As you can see, most Pokemon I'm going against are in about their mid-low 30s or so. So if you wanted to tackle this, like I was a bit conflicted at first on what order I wanted to do everything in. Part of me was thinking, okay, maybe I should do routes 132 through 134 before going against the Sootopolis gym. And in all honesty, if I ended up doing that, I probably wouldn't have needed to worry about getting a little bit unlucky in the last part. And I probably could have taken care of it a lot easier. But I kind of figured we're in the middle of dealing with the plot of Groudon and Kyogre battling it out. I should probably get that finished up, and there's no reason for me to finish it up, then go do the routes, then go against the gym leader. So I kind of decided to do it in that order. And I'm kind of glad that I did, because it made it a little bit more interesting because of that. But yeah, if you wanted to, you could do Route 132 through Route 134 first, because there's nothing stopping you. It's not like there's a waterfall that's blocking you from getting in here. You don't need to have the move Whirlpool. You don't even need to have the move Dive. Dive you need for a part of Route 134, but one that we're not going to be taking care of till later. There is one area in here that, again, I am currently not showing off because I'm waiting till I've beaten the Elite Four and a lot of side things start to open up to go out of my way. So again, you technically don't even need Dive. You know, to get all the items, to go against all the trainers, all you need is Surf, and to know what direction you need to go in. Dive, come back, do that later, okay? You don't need to do it right this very instant anyways. So again, yeah, if you wanted to do it before going against the Sootopolis gym, you could. If you honestly wanted to do it before going against the other gym, Moss Deep City gym, I believe you can. I don't think there is anything that can stop your trainer from taking care of all these routes ahead of time. And that's why most of these trainers, you know, the Pokemon that they use are more around their mid-low 30s, because that's kind of what you want to be when you're going into the Moss Deep City anyway. So if you want to get that extra grinding in, it gives you that means to do it. Again, it depends on the order you want to do it. And I like it. I like that this game gives you a chance to do something in a different order. You can't do the gym leaders in a different order. You still got to do them in, you know, the correct order. It's not as open, but it is still open enough to the point where it's like, hey, you want to wait a bit to go against this gym? There's still something that you can do. And I like that. You know, I like it when Pokemon games are a little bit more open like that. No hidden items. That's another good bonus as well. None of the items that you'll find on Route 132 through 134 are hidden. It's just, once again, you have to go to specific areas in order to get to certain ones. One in particular, which I believe is only accessible by taking one particular routeway, and you have to do it through one of like 3 different pixels. And if you do any other ones besides those 3, you're not going to be getting the item that you were intending to get. Actually, I don't even think it's the item. I think it's a trainer that you're trying to get to, because there are still a number of trainers as well. How many trainers was it in total? I want to say about 18 different trainers. This is one of the main reasons why this part is so long, is because we go against a slew of different trainers. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and take a look on how many trainers that we actually go against, because we've got a long part ahead of us, folks. Like, we're not even a third of the way there yet. And so I just want to kind of take a look here. Alrighty, so how many trainers do we actually end up going against? In the Emerald version anyways. I don't know about Ruby and Sapphire. Yeah, because already in Ruby and Sapphire, it's like, okay, there's 4 trainers. In the Emerald version, I'm looking at 2, 4, 6, 8 just on Route 132. So we're sitting at 8. Let's see here. 10, 12, 15. Boy, even more than 18. That was at least 18. We're probably looking at over 20. We're at 15. 17, 19, 21, 24 total trainers to go against in all of routes 132 through route 134. And again, that's exactly why this part is as long as it is, because you got to figure every single trainer at the least would take at least, what, 40 seconds to a minute to battle due to the pacing that the battles go in their own regards. So that right there is already 24 minutes. That's already like what I consider to be an already relatively long part. And now you add in the exploration part of it and then going back. That's why this part's looking at about, what is it, 34 total minutes, I think is what it is. I don't even remember. It's a long part. We got a lot to do. So this is the one area. Let me just tell you guys ahead of time. If you go a couple more, as you can see right there where the little dive spot is, if you're just on that one island and you go in the middle of that island and go into the waters, you will find yourself at the dive spot. So if you're here thinking that, you know, how do I get to the dive spot in its own right? Do everything I did up to this point, but go through the, go back under the waters in the middle of that one island we just got off of, and you will find yourself right there in the dive spot to take care of all of that. Again, we'll be coming back and doing that later. The Elite Four comes first. The rest of the backtracking comes first, which another thing, can I say, the rest of the backtracking is not as much as I originally thought it would be. I thought I had a number of routes to go back to and take care of. It's really only about 3, I believe. I got to do, what is it called? The Moonfall Cave, something like that. Meteor Fall Cave. Because there's a waterfall area there with a really good move that I can also get. All of Route 119, which didn't have as much in it as I thought it would. So, you know, pretty okay on that. And there was one more place, but I can't remember what that other place was. Or was there? I think that was it. I think it was just those two were like the main ones. And then everything else that I need to backtrack to get is after I've already beaten the Elite Four and other things start opening up. Also, yeah, I completely spaced. I was looking, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. A dragon tamer. Yeah, there are dragon trainers in the world of Pokemon in Gen 3. And yeah, that was him. That's all we really got off of it. So you see me being careful because I almost messed up here. If you want to get to the 2 trainers in this upcoming area, you have to go around the rocks the way I just did to go through this one opening. And I almost screwed it up and went down a little too far. Because again, if you go to that too far one, you end up going to a different area, I believe. And you are not capable of going against these 2. It just takes you right on past it, unfortunately. And yeah, that, I believe we are about, yeah, we're a third of the way done. We've done the whole entire lower half. Like, a majority of what you do on routes 132 through 134 is lower route, upper route. Everything in the middle is kind of like minuscule. Once you take care of everything on the lower ends, like I'm doing right now, and I do the middle, then the top. But if you do the lower ends of everything and then the upper ends of everything else in the middle is like, okay, there's one more trainer they haven't fought against yet. Oh, there's one item that you couldn't get unless you took the specific route. So yeah, it makes it a lot easier in that regard. As long as you take the full bottom route, you'll go against the majority of everything. If you go against the complete top route, you'll go against the majority of everything again. Also, Milotic getting completely paralyzed annoys the crap out of me because I don't have a whistle to snap him out of paralysis. I don't have any more berries to snap him out of paralysis. I don't have any paralyzed heals. It's basically at this point, if my Pokemon get paralyzed, and they get paralyzed, and it pisses me off because then it's like, cool, sweet, then my poor boy Sableye here is getting completely cracked by a revenging Machoke here because, oh, Milotic just decides, hey, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and just relax, chill out here. You do you, Sableye. I'm not going to be here for you whatsoever. Luckily, Milotic, even when paralyzed, is still faster than Machoke and decides, hey, you know what? Maybe I should snap out of it just a bit. Thank you, Milotic. You're a big help. But one thing it does do, and I can't remember if I've already done it yet, but I've been holding on to the soda pop cans this entire Let's Play. Walkthrough, actually. More of a walkthrough than a Let's Play because I'm not doing it live. I've gotten those all the way back at Slateport City and have not had a means to use them. Bye, Sableye. Fucking Milotic. Just whatever. Feels bad. Not really much that we can do there, unfortunately. You know, Milotic's just... And then once again, it's like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna feel like being paralyzed anymore. Like, oh, thank you, Milotic. You're so great. Like, you make me so happy because you finally decide you don't want to be paralyzed anymore. But luckily, that is the end of the first part of going through all of the routes. So I'm able to fly on back and actually get Sableye completely healed up, because it's like, yeah, I kind of want Sableye to get as much experience out of this as he possibly can. So I need to take care of that as soon as possible. But now that we've got them all healed up entirely, we can go right on back to it. Now, like I said, I believe I end up taking the lower end again, because again, there's one more spot that you need to go through in order to get. I can't remember if I'm going to the trainer I couldn't get to or the item I couldn't get to. From the looks of it, I'm assuming it's the trainer that I just couldn't get to. So you come up here, you take the top route. I don't think you need to take the top route. I just feel safer taking the top route, because then it's going to knock you upward instead of downward. I think if you take any other one, it'll send you downward instead of upward. And the only way to get to this guy is by taking that one route that I just took. Based on what I remember, there might have been a way to get to him by taking the top route. Or from the bottom route, you have to take that very top pixel area to get onto the water, because if you don't, you know, the way you saw the rapids, the one that I hit sent me upwards, but the other ones were all rapids sending downwards. So if you don't hit that top one to get knocked upwards, then you're going to be going down instead. And once again, you're going to find yourself back to where you were in the first place and not capable of going against the trainer that you actually want to go against anyways. So that's exactly why, you know, we go against that one particular pixel. And again, that's why I'm showcasing this for you guys, because if you wondered, how the hell do I get to this one trainer? Well, then there you go. You got to take the very, very top off of that one island in order to get knocked up into, you know, the other parts of it. Any other way and you're screwed. Ludicolo, one of, not even just one of my favorite, but this is a lot of people's favorite Pokemon from Gen 3. Not because of how good it is, although I don't know if it is good competitively or not, but just because how silly he is. He's like one of the derpiest, happiest Pokemon I have ever seen. And I guess it makes sense, because, I mean, if you naturally just grow a hat over your head, there's no way he's going to be feeling hot ever. So, yeah, good on you, buddy. So yeah, that is the only reason why we took that route. So now we got to go all the way back once again and start, you know, swimming on through again. I believe we still go through the middle portions of it. Not a whole bunch of trainers, but mostly items that we got to get. So yeah, if I remember correctly, we go through here, and then we got to go on the topmost route, because then this will lead us into this area that we can go against. Oh, it's another trainer. And once again, the only way to get to this trainer is by going through exactly that way. You got to go on the island and then go on the pixel north of the island in order to hit that one rapid that would send you to this guy. Any other means of doing it, and you are not getting to him whatsoever. Anyways, so pardon me, getting a little bit sidetracked and distracted here. I'm mostly kind of just looking through and seeing if I've got everything that I need here. But yeah, completely forgot. So let's go over the Pokemon that you can actually catch on Route 132 through Route 134, which, unfortunately, because it is through surfing, it's literally all the same. All these Pokemon are for all three parts of the routes. Now, you can't run into any of the wild Pokemon on the rapids. You can only run into these Pokemon via surfing and being able to actually control your Pokemon. In the rapids, they are not there. All three versions, you have a 60% chance to get a Tentacool, with a 35% chance with a Wingull, and a 5% chance for a Pelipper. If you are fishing, which I believe, yeah, you can fish on the rapids, and you should be able to catch Pokemon. I haven't tested that, so I can't be fully sure, but I'm assuming so. 30% chance for a Tentacool with the same percent chance for a Magikarp with the old rod. Good rod gives you a 20% chance for a Tentacool, 60% chance for a Magikarp, and 20% chance for a Wailmer. Sound about familiar. Biggest difference, however, with the super rod, you have a 15% chance to run to a Horsey, with a 40% chance it's a Sharpedo and a 45% chance it's a Wailmer. Which, that doesn't make any sense. That should be a 5% chance for a Horsey. Is that right? No, it is 15% chance. Never mind. I was reading the math wrong. I thought it was 55% chance for Wailmer. It's 45% chance. I was like, that's only a 5% chance left over. There's not 110% of Pokemon out there to get. But no, that was just my misreading. But that's it. Those are your selection of Pokemon from all three areas. And again, the only difference is Horsey, which if you just got done going against Juan and dealing with the Kingdra, you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, I think I want to catch one of these Horseys. I like having a Kingdra. I like having a Pokemon that is only weak to one type. And because it's, you know, it's weak to dragon type moves. That's the only weakness it has, and most dragon type moves can only be learned by other dragon types. And it's like, cool, so now I've got my own dragon type to take care of them, but I've also have the ability to use ice type moves for the ×4 effectiveness against them, because most dragon types are usually also flying types with some ground types. Kingdra in Gen 3 is the only water dragon type. Every other dragon type that's like pure dragon are not final evolutions at this point, so it makes it a little bit harder. Even Rayquaza is a dragon flying type in his own right. So, Kingdra's insane. Let's just put it out there. Now, I hear competitively Kingdra's not all that good. There was like one generation that Kingdra was pretty good because of the Water Wars or something like that, because he had like Swift Swim, which made Kingdra insanely fast, so it was able to be a big sweeper because of it or something. I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched why Kingdra was so good in the competitive scene. But in the normal Pokemon game scene, Kingdra is insanely good. Only issue that you could ever have with a Kingdra is the fact that you have to trade in order to get Kingdra with the Dragon Scale. And, you know, unless you got somebody that you can trade with to get yourself a Kingdra, or if you have one of those friends that, you know, after you trade, they're like, sweet, now I have a Kingdra. And then they just leave you hanging in the ropes and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, that's what happened to me anyways. I know that for a fact. I know my boy James. I know that once I traded him a Kingdra in order to get a Kingdra in the first place, he'd be like, sweet, thanks a lot, and he'd just walk away. That's just the way we do things. That's just how we are. But yeah, no, Kingdra's pretty good on that front. Yeah, really not much else, folks. Like, I do apologize for this. It's a very long part, and we're trucking through it together as best as possible. And there's only so much to go over. So I guess the only thing I could really talk about, all my sports fanatics out there, however many of you there are, big news that dropped is obviously Andrew Luck decided to retire, and there's a lot of mixed feelings and mixed emotions about it, and I've got my own personal takes on it and how I feel about it, most of which, you know, I'll keep to myself because, again, most people here are only here for Pokemon. They don't really care about football and other sports. I respect that, you know, I totally get that, but at the same time, I've got like another 10 minutes to go, and there's literally nothing to talk about in the game of Pokemon except for the trainers I'm going against, but it's literally rinse and repeat. Sableye is going to go in, he's going to Shadow Ball, he's going to Feint Attack, and then we're going to move on with life. That's just the way it goes. But yeah, Andrew Luck retired. That is a thing, and it's really crazy because, like, he was supposed to be like one of the next big things that just never really happened, actually. And yeah, I don't know. For those of you that, you know, watch this and don't keep up much with football, but keep up enough, you're like, yeah, I'm a Colts fan. Enough. I'm pretty sure everybody and their grandmother knows about Andrew Luck retiring last night. And do I think he's going to be gone for good? Probably not. I kind of liked what one of the ex-football players said, where it's like, yeah, you're going to feel it one way, but you're not going to feel the same way for the rest of your life. And that is too true of words for just about everybody that's watching this. You know, at the end of the day, how you feel today, in a lot of cases, is not how you're going to feel tomorrow. And how you feel today and tomorrow is not how you're going to feel a year from now. You know, like, your viewpoint on how things are is always changing on a day-to-day basis and drastically changing on a year-to-year basis. You know, I look back on when I first started doing YouTube and what I thought, you know, I should be doing for YouTube was back then, and it's nothing compared to what I do now when it comes to YouTube. Whereas back then it was like, oh, make a witty joke here, try and make jokes about this stuff right here, and nowadays, you know, I kind of throw in a witty joke every now and then whenever I possibly can. But back then it was more forced, you know, because it was like, oh, you have to be funny. If you're not funny, no one really cares about you. And in some cases that is very true, but you got to realize if you fake who you are, why are people going to want to watch you anyways? You know, people don't want to watch other people that are fake. You know, young kids, maybe, sure. And for a lot of people out there, that's their entire audience. And they know how to appease towards that audience. I've never considered myself somebody that's appeasing to younger kids. You know, I've always considered myself more appeasing to, you know, like college level or something like that, I guess. I'm not exactly sure. And I'm not even saying like, oh yeah, my humor and the things that I say is totally, you know, for all college people. But at the same time, it's like, you know, back when I was in college and doing this, I felt that my target audience was the younger audience. And so I would pressure myself into, you know, being different than what I actually am, which a lot of YouTube people end up doing that. Again, you got to try and do what gets you the views. And back then, you know, I was like, oh, I really kind of want to make YouTube a career thing. It didn't start that way. It just started off as, hey, I just want it to be something really fun. And then there came a certain point where I was like, you know what, maybe I could try to make this a real thing. And it wasn't until, you know, much later, you know, I think around the time when I started coming back to YouTube, about a year and a half ago, where I was like, this is never going to be a job for me. YouTube's never going to be a full-time thing for me. It's always going to be a part-time hobby that I'm just going to be doing for fun. So why would I then force myself to be something that I'm not? Because for one thing, I don't even like being something that I'm not. I don't like trying to force myself to like be a whole separate personality for YouTube that's completely different from who I'm actually am, because that's not right to me. That's also not right to you guys. You know, I feel like most people that come here, they come here for their Pokemon, they come here for their Dragon Ball Z, and in some cases they come here for, like, you know, my opinions on certain things. And, you know, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that as me, Will, not me, Frosty, when I originally was FrostBytez, and it was like, oh, I'm going to try and be like, you know, another Game Grumps or something like that. Originally, I wanted to be the next Shadows X Elite. Everyone pretty much knows that about now. But then later on, there was a Let's Play that I was originally uploading that I ended up taking down. It was with me, James, another friend of ours. And it was around the time that Game Grumps first came out. It was still during the JonTron era. And it was so funny, and we enjoyed it so much. We wanted to implement a lot of things that they did into our show. And so we forced it so horribly. And our third friend pretty much called us out on it. And he even said on one point when we called it apart, you know, he said, all right, on the next, he's like, you know, next time we, you know, rip off more Game Grumps. And it gave us a good laugh because we all knew, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing right now. And I ended up getting rid of it almost a couple weeks afterwards because I was like, yeah, like, if people want to watch Game Grumps, they'll go watch Game Grumps. They're not coming to my channel to watch people trying to be Game Grumps. That's not at all what the goal is. And so around that point, I started thinking to myself, well, how do I want to do it? And I was still kind of struggling, you know, what do I want to be? I was trying to be like, what personality do I want to be for the internet? Instead of just being me. And I finally came to the terms where it's like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to be me. I'm going to be who I am instead of trying to find a personality. And I do understand in some cases, you know, my personality doesn't fit with just about everybody, nor should it really. And I feel like my personality is best when I'm with my group of friends, but we're at an age now where we can't do something like this all the time. You know, me and James finished up the third case of the Phoenix Wright Let's Play, and we got one more case to go, but we have no idea when we plan on getting together to doing something like that. We're even trying to introduce another friend of ours into the mix, but we just don't know when that's going to be entirely possible because of all of our work schedules. And it sucks because then it feels like I can't give you guys the full entertainment that I know I'm capable of doing when it's me and my friends, because when we're together, we have a complete blast when we play games together, and then it feels more natural, and, you know, the jokes just kind of like just come with themselves because we're all really good friends. That's just how we are. But again, it's kind of hard to make that completely happen because of our work lives. And so because of that, a majority of this channel is mostly just going to be me. And then whenever me and my friends can find the time to get together to do something, it's going to be on this channel. Don't you worry about it. But because of that, the humor, in my opinion, gets completely cut in half because I'm only so funny on my own. I play well when working with others. Okay? Like, you know, I can roll this channel by myself, no problem. That's no problem whatsoever. But I do, I realize that, hey, if I try to implement too much comedy, I'm going to be way too forceful because it's going to come unnaturally. And over time, I just came to the conclusion that, what I thought worked back then, it's not going to work anymore. Trying to be something else, trying to be a whole separate personality for YouTube, it's not going to work anymore. I cannot be that anymore. So instead, you do get Frosty, but you mostly get me, Will. And so that's completely changed. And it's going to work that way for a lot of you guys out there. Some people are going to watch this and find me entertaining, and then later on they're going to come back and be like, nah, this guy's not really funny anymore, and then they're going to move on. It happens with just about everybody. There's a consensus that even when it comes to other channels, again, talking about the Game Grumps here, I stopped watching them because my opinion on them completely changed. And it's not just because of the whole entire JonTron thing, although I did love it. I also liked during the Danny era as well. But over time, I was like, their way of doing it, their style of comedy, it doesn't fit me. I don't enjoy it like I used to. And so my viewpoint on it changed, and now I don't really watch the Game Grumps anymore because of that. And it's going to be the same with most people watching, the stuff that I'm doing right now. Their opinions are going to change on it, and they're going to be like, yeah, the way Will does these, it doesn't work with me anymore. There's not a damn thing wrong with that whatsoever. That's just kind of how it works for people in general. So I guess at the end of the day, whatever it is that you're feeling right now, it's probably not what you're going to be feeling like in the future. Don't try to hold on to things too much, just learn, just be happy. Things that make you happy right now, let it keep you happy. If it doesn't make you happy, get rid of it. You're never going to know. Sometime in the future, it's going to completely change for you. And you're going to be like, okay, now all of a sudden this makes me happy when it never did. And this doesn't make me happy anymore when it used to. And don't worry about that too much. Just enjoy life. Enjoy what it gives you. Enjoy the fact that this part's finally over. 30 minutes. Oh my God. Luckily, I think the next time that we have a 30-minute part is going to be Elite Four, but that's going to be a little bit more interesting to talk about. And yeah, apologies to everybody. Again, I'm trying to get through Pokemon Emerald, doing all this post-commentary stuff. And I know a lot of what I talk about just kind of no one really cares about it, but I'm trying my best. We do what we can. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evenings, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you all in the next part.